he largely has missed the boat. He largely has been patriarchal, dominating, invalidating, and so on. The stories are all the same. Here's what she says. Dr. Hawkins, I feel invisible in my marriage. Invisible, unknown, uncared for, invisible. Oh, he wants sex for sure. He wants me to make the meals, and they cut corners. So this 50-year-old man, I mean, they look at me and they say, Dr. Hawkins, believe me, I really want an emotionally mature, I want to have an emotionally connected marriage. Then I say, okay, I'll take you at your word. Then please follow my treatment protocol. And guess what? They don't.
So if the stats show that 9 out of 10 guys are addicted to porn, then 9 out of 10 guys are emotionally, at least that many are emotionally absent and not able to connect.
But add porn, then add work addiction, then add sports addiction, then add alcohol abuse, then add, So
how often do you come across a healthy male? Welcome back, guys, to another episode of the Furious and Curious Show. I'm here with Dr. Hawkins. He is a clinical psychologist who has brought healing to thousands of marriages and individuals throughout his 40-plus years as a therapist, and he has spent the majority of his career developing the most effective methods for healing marriage wounds, and helping high-conflict couples break free from destructive cycles and learn new ways of relating to themselves and their spouse. He's authored over 40 books on relationships, including this one here that I have, When Loving Him is Hurting You, Hope and Help for Women Dealing with Narcissism and Emotional Abuse. And that's what he's an expert in as well, is the field of narcissism and emotional abuse. So, Dr. Hawkins, thank you for being here. I appreciate you taking the time.
Kyle, thanks for inviting me. I appreciate it.
No worries. How'd you get into this work?
You know, I drifted into the work. I mean, I've been a clinical psychologist forever and ever and ever. And over the years, I've dealt with many, many, many marriages and different relationship issues. And approximately 15 years ago, I began discovering that many high conflict issues are not co-created. Now, what do I mean by that? Okay, so traditionally, couples counseling, as you must know, we think about it's a two-way street. It takes two to tango. And so, he does his part, she does her part, and it's a 50-50 proposition, roughly. Well, lo and behold, and you've heard of Dr. John Gottman. Dr. Gottman discovered that, well, wait a minute. If gradually over the years, largely he, not always he, but often he, has failed to accept influence. Remember that phrase, accepting influence, being open, being receptive. If he, over time, starts not really listening well, not really hearing what she needs in the relationship, being dismissive and invalidating, it begins ever so slowly, ever so subtly, but over the years then, by the time most couples come to me, they're 45 years old, they're 50, they're 55, they're 60, they're 65. Notice the ages there because, I don't see very many high conflict 25-year-olds. Are they out there? For sure they are. But if he largely has not accepted influence, he's been dismissive, invalidating.
Why do you say it starts slowly?
Well, it does, because gradually the 30-year-old couple, they can tolerate a little bit of that happening. They can tolerate, watch my hands here, they can tolerate a little imbalance where he is dismissive, he's withdrawn, he's working, he's focused on his career and sports and doing other things, and she's okay with that. And then now they're 45 years old and this is starting to wear on her. And so now she's becoming more critical. She is over functioning. What's he doing? Under functioning. Is this always the case? No, but these are prevalent patterns. So over functioning, And now she's becoming angrier and angrier and angrier, and he's feeling even more put down and so on. And he becomes more irritable. He withdraws even, and we have these high conflict situations. That here's the big deal, Kyle. So by the time they come to me, it really isn't typically, there's exceptions. I want to keep saying that, but it isn't typically co created. He largely has missed the boat. He largely has been patriarchal, dominating, invalidating, and so on. And so by the time they get to me, ugh, sir, I've got to work with you on your patterns of being so detached, so withdrawn, so dismissive. And those patterns have got to be remedied and healed. I'll stop with this, Kyle. I could keep going, but by the time this 50-year-old couple comes to me and I look at the man and I say, do you really want to have an intimate, close, attached relationship with your wife? And he says, oh, that's a ridiculous question, Dr. Hawkins. That's ridiculous. What man doesn't want intimacy and warmth and compassion? I said, well, okay, I don't think it's a ridiculous question. How much time do you spend really noticing her? Well, how much time do you spend really watching her and attending to her and tuning into her? Really? Because she says none. She says, you don't even ask about my day. You don't care about what I'm really experiencing. So you want sex. Yeah, we get that. But you don't really want into me, see intimacy. All right.
Mm.
So how did I get into it? I got into it ever so gradually. And then I began noticing these patterns. I studied Dr. Gottman's studies, and I've read more books, and I've written more books, and I've now worked with hundreds, if not thousands, of couples. And these patterns are prevalent. By the time a couple gets to me, when they're 50 years old, they've been married 30 years, they've got 3 adult children, and there is dysfunction all over the place.
Yeah. So your book title of your book is the one I have here is "When Loving Him is Hurting You." Is this
Right.
mainly in your experience? You say it's one person that's causing a lot of these issues. That you say that's primarily on the male side.
That's right. Yeah.
Why is that? Talk to me about that.
Well, because he has, so he says, this 50-year-old man says to me, oh, I desperately want love and affection. Well, then why are you not paying closer attention to her? So that every woman, Kyle, not 60%, not 70%, not 80%. I'm talking 95% of the phone, and we get dozens upon dozens of referrals every month. The stories are all the same. Here's what she says. Dr. Hawkins, I feel invisible in my marriage. Invisible. Invisible. Unknown, uncared for, invisible. Oh, he wants sex for sure. He wants me to make the meals. He wants me to be around to help clean the home and da, 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 da. But I am emotionally invisible. Every woman says that to me, Kyle. Did it start that way when they were 25? No, they were in love. They cared for each other, and that was a balanced relationship. And then just gradually over the years, it became unbalanced. And now she is she critical? Absolutely, she is critical. But is her criticism largely legitimate? It is largely. Again, are there exceptions to this pattern? There are, but these are the patterns that I see again and again and again. So, when loving him, the book is When Loving Him is Hurting You. So, this woman feels invisible, unknown, uncared for, and we've got to change that. So, she's over functioning, he's under functioning, and I work on bringing the marriage back into a balanced place. And what I say to the man, I say, look, clean your side of the street. And after you've done that, what's left over will be hers. And we can then, in a matter of triage, we can then focus on what your concerns are. Oh, you mean, Dr. Hawkins, right now we have to focus solely on her concerns? That's right. That's not fair. Well, you've dug yourself a pretty deep hole, sir. And so we're going to get you out of that hole. And then we can address how you feel unappreciated and uncared for as well.
Yeah. Which is in line with actually my beliefs of the man leading. Even if it was, both sides, he should be willing to take that, in my opinion. But how does
Yes.
want to go back to you said it slowly starts happening. What is happening in this man's thinking that it slowly starts happening? Why is he starting to, not appreciate his wife and not spend time with her? Is that something that is happened in childhood to him, or is this common to all men? How is this formulating slowly?
Yeah. Yeah. I have some really strong opinions about this, Kyle. This 50-year-old man, I want you to take note of several things I'm going to talk about very briefly here. This 50-year-old man is emotionally, profoundly emotional immature. Let's come back to that.
Okay.
Profoundly emotionally immature. He has spent hundreds, if not thousands, of hours developing himself professionally. He's spent hundreds, if not thousands, of hours developing himself in the sports arena. He knows how to play tennis well, or basketball well, or whatever, something well. He has spent no time whatsoever developing himself emotionally. He has not read one book cover to cover on how to be an emotionally mature man. Let's talk about that. Secondly, this man, this 50-year-old man, has profoundly concerning thinking errors. What's a thinking error? Minimization, justification, rationalization. He has what I call responsibility deficit disorder. There isn't such a thing, but there should be. Responsibility deficit. I had a man this morning say this. Believe it or not, he really said this. Yeah, I mistreat you, but it's because you mistreat me. I mistreat you because you mistreat me. I'm sarcastic with you. Yes, I get mean, but it's because you mistreat me. You're to blame. Now, that jumps off the page at you, I'm sure, as it does me. But this guy really thought that. He really thinks it. So he goes through life thinking, I'm mean because you're mean. I'm nasty because you're nasty. So that's called blame shifting, minimization, rationalization, justification. All comes under the heading of what? Denial. Denial. Don't even notice I am lying to you and myself. So, profoundly emotionally immature. He didn't, was it because of early childhood trauma? Maybe. Did that add to it? Of course. But he didn't grow up. It's called arrested development. I'll stop with this. Profound emotional immaturity, profound thinking errors, and then lack of dedication to change. Really quick story. I was doing a group of men who are profoundly immature, who have pervasive thinking errors, and lack dedication to change. I asked the group if they had done their homework, these six guys. None of them had, but they were all doing different things of training in other arenas, doing triathlons, doing learning Spanish, learning all kinds of things. And this one man said, look at us. Look at us. This is wild. Our marriages are all in shambles, and yet we train 10 hours a week for a triathlon. We train all kinds of ways in sports arenas and other things. We are doctors, lawyers. We we make so much money. We're so professional, and we didn't do our homework. This is a joke. All right, I'll stop with that. Profound emotional immaturity. It started when they were 15 and they didn't grow out of it. Thinking errors that nobody confronts them on, and so they continue, and a lack of real dedication. Men cut corners. Women, Kyle, women are out there right now in support groups. They read every book I write, they consume my videos. The men don't. The men don't read my book. They read one chapter and put the book down and go to something that, okay, you get my
So,
point. I'll
so
stop.
yeah, okay. So you're explaining the behaviors of what they're doing, of not growing and training in these other areas and being
Yep.
stunted in their emotional growth. But what's the do you not understand the why behind it? Like what's an average man does want an epic marriage. They like, especially when you ask them in their 20s, and they do want to be close and stuff like that. Are they not being discipled by other men around them? Is
They're
this
not being, they're absolutely, they're
is it
not being
a
discipled, and they cut corners. So this 50-year-old man, I mean, they look at me and they say, Dr. Hawkins, believe me, I really want an emotionally mature, I want to have an emotionally connected marriage. And then I say, okay, I'll take you at your word. Then please follow my treatment protocol. And guess what? They don't. All right.
why
So you're
not?
asking me why? Yeah, why not? Because of self deception. They believe. I'm going to tell you another quick story that I hope will illustrate it. 4 years ago, I'm sitting with my friend Lee in Mexico at a table, and he orders in Spanish. And I look at Lee and I go, Lee, I would really like to learn Spanish that way. He says, no, you wouldn't. I said, Lee, I love the way you just ordered in Spanish. I want to be able to order in Spanish like that. And I did, by the way. He said, no, you don't. And now I know he's messing with me. I say, Lee, you're messing with me. He said, David, are you taking Spanish lessons? No. Are you watching Spanish telenovelas like I am? No. Are
Yeah.
you practicing Duolingo every single day for at least an hour a day? No. No. Oh, so you want to magically learn Spanish. You don't really want to go through the work of learning
Yeah.
Spanish.
Yeah. So your actions show what you believe,
So
right?
these men believe that they can do shortcuts. I can read one chapter of Dr. Hawkins's book and that should be enough. It's wild. We are crazy in our thinking. So anyway, that's the answer to your question. We've been emotionally immature since 15 years old, and we didn't embark on a journey to grow up. That's what I think we as men need to do, and men don't like to hear this language. So,
Okay.
by the way,
So would
do
you
you agree with
what
me,
what
or you?
Well, I agree with you that that's what's happening when they're in that spot at 50. But I'm more curious on, you have two guys, both are 15, and they start growing up, and one becomes emotionally mature and can stay connected, and he has a great marriage at 15. The other one doesn't. Is it the one is reading books at 20 and putting effort in? Is the one like I still don't really understand what is
Yep.
the
Yes.
signs at
Yes.
that spot.
Yes. The 20-year old probably started out with a little better grounding. Let's just assume the 20-year-old who he learned from his father from very early on. Here's what look, you're going to have to really be focused on, you're going to have to carry your mate around on your frontal lobe. So he learned that, and maybe he was discipled. He learned about his deficiencies. So somewhere along the line, he's got to learn about arrested emotional development. Somebody has to sit with him and say, look, through socialization, I'm going to presume, I don't know you, I'm going to presume you're a fairly healthy man. Then someone had to have socialized you to become a fairly healthy man. It doesn't just happen. Chronology doesn't get us emotional maturity. It doesn't do it. We can get older. You're probably, you don't need to tell me how old you are. Let's say you're 40 years old. I mean, you didn't get it by years. So somewhere you had to access good information. Perhaps you accessed scriptures. Maybe you accessed good books. I don't know what you accessed. Good mentoring, but you had to have humility to say, "Man, I don't." You don't just get it with osmosis. But most men, okay, yes. So the 20-year-old accessed good information. Somewhere along the line, he got good mentoring. His thinking errors when he got into a bad mood, which is a temporary thought disorder, when he got into a bad mood, he had the wherewithal to say, I got to call my friend. I'm dangerous in my thinking right now. And he called a friend, and his friend said, yeah, let me talk you off the ledge, man. Come on
Yeah.
over. Let's have coffee and let me straighten you out. And he did that again and again and again and again and stayed on a pretty good path.
Yeah.
Oh, not so with most of the 50-year-old men that I'm working with.
So I
No,
would say
yeah,
most men in general then aren't emotionally mature, because
that's right.
I find
That's right.
very few even 20-year-olds now, or like in 30-year-olds that are putting effort into these areas. Like, they're hard to find. We know that
Yes,
in the stats, so the stats show that we live in extremely lonely men are extremely lonely, more lonely than ever,
totally.
and isolated from each other. So this is not just a small section of society. This would be the
Totally.
majority of society being completely emotionally,
Kyle,
off.
I am alarmed. I'm absolutely alarmed because the calls that I get dozens upon dozens upon dozens every month. Just an overwhelming number of calls that we get at the Marriage Recovery Center. I think it's the tip of the iceberg. I think if you and I grabbed 100 couples out there that are ages whatever, I don't care what age, let's say 40 to 80, and we asked them, how are you really, 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 really doing? I think we'd be alarmed.
No,
There,
you get nothing. You get deer in the headlights.
you get deer in the headlights. So it's an epidemic, and what is really tragic about this epidemic is who's talking about it. Who I
So
mean,
why is
yeah,
this accepted in society? Like, do you think, I don't know if you've done any research of a couple hundred years ago, if this was also the case, or if this is more of a Western culture, a problem, and you don't see as much happening in the East. I'm not sure, like, what, because it
I don't.
didn't come out of nowhere.
I don't know that, Kyle. I'd be very interested in that. What I know is what we've just been saying. These your average man. I look out there. I'm looking over at Seattle right now. I look over at Seattle. I'm thinking, my goodness, if I cornered somebody on the street who's 45 years old and I asked him, how are you really, really, really doing? I think we'd find trouble. We would find trouble. So, like you say, these men, we're not socialized to ask for help. My dad didn't teach me to ask for help.
How'd you learn it?
I learned it because I went into psychology. I went into the whole field, so I had to receive counseling all the way along. And by the way, I still access counseling. I said for myself. I have a personal therapist that I call at times, and named Dan. I go to Dan because I don't think I have all my answers. I do not. But so many men, it's just so sad. So many
Yeah,
men think they do. They are self-deception. Self-will run riot is what the 12-step program says.
yeah,
Self-will run. I know what I'm doing. I got a handle on this. You do not have a handle on it, sir. You do
yeah,
not. Bless your
yeah.
heart.
So I've had a lot of experience dealing with men that are in sex addictions, because of my
Oh,
own struggles with pornography, and uh, in that process of learning all of that, one of the things I learned was that when you start looking at porn at 10 years old or 8 years old or 12 years old,
changes the
that
brain.
basically you're emotionally shut off. Like, you emotionally stop growing at that point until you overcome that addiction. Is that something that you have learned
Co-
as well?
Completely. The overlap. So this 50-year-old man, this grabbed this 50-year-old man off the street. So his marriage is a mess. He has been involved in something addictive. It very probably 1/3 of the men that I'm working with have sexual addictions. Maybe it's work addiction, maybe it's drug addiction, maybe it's alcohol abuse, alcohol addiction, maybe it's gambling addiction. I mean, maybe it's surfing the internet addiction, maybe it's accumulation. I mean, any number of things. Somebody smarter than me, Kyle, said, you show me someone who is addicted, and I'll show you someone who is narcissistic,
Selfish, because it's all about them.
selfish, profoundly selfish, not just a cute little selfishness of a 6-year-old. By the way, every 50-year-old woman says to me this. Everyone, Kyle, everyone says, I'm married to a boy. I'm married to a flipping boy. We have 3 children and a fourth, right? I
Yeah.
mean, how
Yeah, I
tragic,
hear it. I hear it all the time as well. Yeah.
how tragic is that? And so then she says to him, "You're like a little boy." And so now I'm going to be a little tough on her. So remember, this has just gradually morphed out of shape. And by the time she gets to me, she has been over functioning so long that she is an emotional mess. And I don't say that pejoratively. She is physiologically, she's got fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue, headaches, anxiety, sleep disturbance, all kinds of problems like that. And yet, they have 3 kids. Their soccer practices, piano lessons. We go to church on Sunday. Da 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 da. We're just doing life. So you know the story of the frog in the kettle. The frog in the kettle. Like, it's hot. No, we're okay. It's hot. No, we're okay. It's hot. We're okay. We're okay. The water's boiling. And how did we get here? Oh, I guess we got here 30 years ago, didn't we?
Yeah.
And it just morphed out of shape. And now, anyway, all right. So
So
asking for help.
yeah, yeah. So if the stats show that 9 out of 10 guys are addicted to porn, then 9 out of 10 guys are emotionally, at least that many are emotionally absent and not able to connect.
What, but add porn, then add work addiction, then add
I
sports
love the others.
addiction, then
Yeah.
add alcohol abuse, then add, so
So how often do
yeah.
you come across a healthy male in their 50s?
Say it again.
How often do you come across a healthy male in their 40s and 50s and 60s?
Well, you're asking the wrong guy. I mean, because my phone is ringing off the hook with 50,
Fair.
60,
But you have your
60.
own social, so you have your own social circles. Like you go and have your leisure time and your own friend groups and stuff like that. Like,
Yeah, I'm going to equivocate a little bit. So, I mean, I have some really good friends who are healthy. I associate with healthy people. I have 2 grown sons that are, I think, relatively healthy young men. Well, they're not young anymore. They're
yeah,
in their 40s, but so they're out there. But again, like you and I are saying, how many are? If we really lifted the lid, what would we see? But I mean, because men gather. I mean, we do gather. We gather in our churches. We gather for sporting. We gather, but it typically is superficial gathering. And that's, I'm really kind of critical of men, even who gather at church. Like, I mean, is it nice to have a golf club at church, and or have a Bible study, or to have a whatever? Those are all good things, but are they really looking at each other going like, tell me what is really, really, really going on?
no,
So
we'll
we
talk
don't
about
do that.
theology in church. They'll talk about theology because that's safe, and then they can keep it
Exactly.
separate from themselves. But they can't necessarily talk about their own. They can't cry. They can't connect. And so what? So this has a huge impact in the marriage, and I want to get back to that. But what other impact does it have in their life? Because I'm assuming they can't connect with their kids. What about like do you say other areas in the workplace? Like what other areas is this impacting?
Oh, you know what? I'm assuming most of the men that I'm working with, I mean, our programs are filled at the Marriage Recovery Center. They typically do pretty well on the job site. They're professionals. They dedicate a lot of energy. They're doing just fine there. But are their relationship with their kids shot? Shot. These children they have dysfunction. So they're
But they
dysfunctioning.
wouldn't call it shot. They wouldn't call their relationship with their kids
Many
shot. They would.
would. Many
They
would.
would. Okay.
Many would. Yeah, you're talking. Let's say this 50-year-old man. He's got 3 children, ages 19, 22, and 25. So yeah, no, they have experienced the dysfunction. Now, by the time they get to me, she is really, really irritable and angry and upset, and he's now da 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 da. And oh yeah, no, the reverberation happens. The children typically, there's all kinds of dysfunction there. The children may have sided with dad against mom. They may have sided with mom against dad. They may say, "I'm out of you guys." Ugh. leave me alone. You guys figure it out. And that's a dysfunction too. So there's no cohesive, healthy family unit. Oh, they look good. Oh, they look good. Maybe they're 45 years old and the children are 12, 14, and 17. And we have image that we have to keep up. But boy, you peel off the lid off of it, and there is some real unhealth going on there.
Before we do that, I'm just going to interrupt here a second to talk about Furiously Curious recruiting. If you're a business owner or just a guy looking for a job, I might be able to help you. So every week, this podcast reaches anywhere from 500 to 750 people who have somewhat of the same value set that I do or that Gary does. So you're probably going to show up to work on time. You probably have good values. You're probably going to work hard. And we know it's how hard it is to find good employees out there, especially if on Indeed or in other places. But the following of this podcast gets just a really good listening of people that have good values. And so they're a great pool of people to pick from when looking for employees or people that know good people. And so if you are an employer looking for high-skilled labor, if that's in marketing or sales, or if that's in other areas, I would probably have a good chance of being able to find someone for you. And so if you're interested in that, please do reach out to me, and I'd love to help you with my recruiting services. But also, if you're just a guy looking for a good job and want to find a good company to be aligned with, I'll probably be able to help you with that as well. And so we know that, skills can be taught, but values are pretty hard to teach. And so people have them or they don't. It's a lot of stress when you can't trust an employee or an employer and you have that misalignment. And so it just adds so much value to a company when you can bring them a good person. And so if you're interested in that, please do reach out to me. You can reach me on my social media or email me at kyle@furiouslycurious.co. Love to be able to help you out and advertise the job that you have available here on the podcast. Anyways, with that, let's get back to the show. So the previous time that we talked to set up this interview, you were mentioning that you find these traits of men especially strong in stricter communities, like stricter Christian communities and groups of different sorts like that. What talk to me about that? Why is that, and why do you seem to see that more in those communities?
Oh my goodness. That's a whole nother can of worms, Kyle. Because
I like that. Let's open it.
Okay, we'll open the can of worms. So I just finished an article that I wrote. I'm looking at the title right now. The title is called Gaslighting and Spiritual Manipulation When Scripture is Twisted to Control. All right, so in highly religious communities, there's a lot of patriarchy, there's a lot of control. And so scriptures will be used to twist and to gain authority and power. And it's subtle. So a man might say, look, scripture says you're supposed to submit to me. Submit. Come on. Just give in. Follow my lead. I'm the leader. I'm supposed to be the leader. Oh, but wait a minute now. This is a 30-year marriage that has been fraught with trouble that I've already illustrated. Remember, he may know all kinds of scriptures, but remember, what do we say? He's profoundly emotionally immature. Boy, add a little bit of scripture to that, you got some trouble. Oh, remember, he's got pervasive thinking errors. Follow me, I'm the leader. Oh yeah, I'm sarcastic at times, but I'm sarcastic because of you. I mean, you're really the problem. I don't really have that many problems. I mean, we all have problems. Oh, remember that he has not really dedicated himself to real change. So now he's got this weapon, scripture, or authority, and now the church, and I don't want to go too far with this, got to get myself in trouble, but now he can lean on the church, and he goes to some other people in church and yeah, Joe, you need to, come on, be the leader, be the man, take over, take charge. And she's already feeling abused and harmed, and now she is harmed even more, and now we've got more trouble.
Okay, so you have an emotionally immature man, and he has a belief system that says my wife's supposed to cook the meals and have sex with me and clean the home, and for the rest of the time he's at work. And because he comes from that belief system, it almost doubles down on what problem was already there.
Exactly right. Exactly right. So now he's got this weapon, and he actually weaponizes. He uses it, and she feels weaponized. She feels harmed. Is he really? Now let's go back to square one. Is he really listening to her? Now, if he really used scripture, he would go, wait a minute, now I'm supposed to be loving her unconditionally. I'm supposed to be deferring to her in love. I'm supposed to be caring for her. I'm supposed to not let any unwholesome word proceed out of my mouth. I'm supposed to be doing all kinds of loving things. And I'm not. So, Kyle, in all of this that we're saying, here's a topic that we all should be thinking about. What are our blind spots? What are even the men who come to me, they are so self-deluded, but one of the first things I say to them are you willing to see what you can't see? Are you willing to know what you don't know? Are you a great word is humility. Are you willing to really be humble? Have you had the breakdown that leads to the breakthrough? So, with sexual addiction, with any of these addictions, there's got to be self will run riot. I've got to, like, man, I am a dangerous human being. I need to have some people walking alongside of me calling me out, and I need to be vulnerable enough with them so they can see where I'm weaponizing. What are my blind spots? So,
Yeah, yeah. Okay, I want to start talking about some of the solutions to this and some of the work that needs to start happening when someone's in this spot. But before we get there, how much we talked about childhood earlier? How much of this is rooted in childhood? How much is this rooted in an unhealthy relationship with dad or mom, or abuse as a
sure,
kid, or any of those things like that?
I think it's all rooted in childhood. It is rooted in childhood, but I'll quote. Do you know the name Lundy Bancroft?
I don't.
Okay, okay. He's written the number one book on emotional abuse. It's always number one. If you go to Amazon, there's a plug for Lundy Bancroft. The book is called Why Does He Do That? Why does he do that? And Lundy Bancroft says all what I'm saying. Men have been socialized to be kind of bad people. We've been socialized that way. We tolerate it. We've always been. I mean, men have always, statistically, we harm more people, we shoot more people, we rob more people, we do men do more harm statistically. So anyway, so is it rooted in childhood? Yeah, we've grown up. I mean, I was raised in a what I would call a healthy home. My father was a professional, and he was a loving man. Did he teach me about emotional maturity? Not a drop. Not not an ounce. Not that I can't think of any time that he took me aside and helped me to be a healthy young man and in a healthy adolescent and a healthy I, it, nope.
Didn't happen. Yeah,
No
yeah.
help, no help. I don't know that he really harmed me, but he didn't help me. And so now, but we have a lot of men who have been really, really, really harmed. So
Hmm.
remember, 6-year-olds, we can all smile at a 6-year-old. Like, oh, they're 6 years old. That would account for them being volatile emotionally. That would account for them not being very mindful or self-aware. That would account for them not managing their emotion. That would account for them not being interpersonally effective. Oh, but wait a minute. But 6-year-olds, we socialize them in a healthy way, and then they become healthy young men, and then they have healthy marriage. Okay, so on. So is it rooted in childhood? Yes, it's rooted in childhood, but you and I and all of us as a society, we're all guilty too. We
Yeah,
don't.
yeah.
I mean, how many avenues can you even think of one? Can you think of one avenue right now where your friends could go? I'm not asking this question very well. What avenues do we have available to us to grow emotionally and to have our thinking errors challenged? Well,
Not a lot.
I mean, we can go to counseling.
Yeah.
Like just kind
Like
of
I did a program called Freedom Session, which was extremely powerful, but it makes you face your own bullshit, and take ownership of it, and forgive yourself and forgive the people that have hurt you, which then allows you to open up. But so much of myself was shielding my heart and protecting myself that I was in many ways emotionally off, and among other things, that I was protecting myself, and until I took ownership, I wasn't able to become emotionally healthy. But that does take humility. It's hard. You have to be weak. You have to be able to, be exposed.
that gave you humility, but then did you utilize that humility? I'm not trying to put you on the spot here. Did you utilize that humility? Did you have some other folks come
Yes,
and
I had mentors and counseling, but
talk
I
to you
was
about your blind spots?
yes, yeah, yeah, yeah,
Okay, because
and
do you know about the Johari window?
I don't.
Johari window, 4 blocks. Here's what you know about me, and I know about me. Here's what I know about me, and you don't know about me. Here's what you know about me, and I don't know about me. And here's what you don't know about me, and I don't know about me. So, anyway, there's a lot of our lives, Dr. Hawkins. I mean, who really knows this guy?
Yeah,
My wife
yeah,
knows me pretty doggone well. That's about it. I've got a good friend, Greg. My 2 sons I confer with fairly frequently. Do they? Yeah, pretty much. But boy, are there some sections where David Hawkins only knows about this stuff and nobody else knows it. And boy, is there another chunk where nobody knows it. I don't know it. You don't know it. Anyway, so
yeah,
we've got to have people, and we don't do that. We don't.
yeah. Well, first you have to allow it. You have to allow yourself to be spoken into, or put yourself in positions to learn and stuff like that, which is a willingness that comes. No one can force you
I,
to show up at these things.
I want to use another concept really quick, like Kyle, that I preach on accountability. I have so many men look at me and go, I've got an accountability partner. Oh, really? Tell me about that. Yeah, yeah. I meet with my pastor every couple of weeks for accountability. Oh, really? And you tell your pastor all of your blind spots. Yeah. But wait a minute. You don't. But do you really know all your blind spots? And you really let? Okay. Anyway, the point being, Kyle, many men tout the idea of I'm being held accountable, and they really aren't. So
That's right. Yeah,
we don't have anything set up in our society. I mean, who holds me accountable? I'm not accountable. I mean, I'm somewhat to my wife, and that's about it. I mean, I've got a friend, but I reveal to my friend what I want to reveal to my friend.
yeah,
So, my friend Greg isn't saying, "Hey, David, look, I want to ask you some really difficult questions." Okay,
yeah,
anyway, so that's
yeah.
another
So
weak spot in all of
that's right.
this.
Yeah, but you can't do. I mean, I have a paper that I use that I meet with, and I meet with a friend once a week, and we ask each other, 7 questions that are extremely hard
Love
to
it.
answer on a weekly basis. But
Love it.
there's a willingness there to
Love it.
do that and let yourself be exposed. And it sucks and it's hard, but I don't know how you grow otherwise.
Love it. So that so you're one of 1,000, right?
Okay. Okay.
Well,
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know it's rare. I know it's just super rare,
one in a
because I feel
thousand, probably
I still feel
maybe one
yeah,
in maybe less than that. I don't know.
yeah.
It's
Okay.
very very rare. All right.
Narcissism and emotional immaturity or emotional abuse. Before we talk about how men can get out of this spot, or first anybody listening that's in a marriage like this, how to move on, I want to just focus on that for a bit. Narcissism and emotional abuse. What are those two things? What's the difference between them? Why does it matter?
Sure, sure. So narcissism typically is rooted in uh, 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 character. Narcissism is rooted in, if we say a person is narcissistic, they are hiding shame, they're hiding in-depth feelings of inadequacy, and out of that woundedness, then they act out in destructive ways. Emotional abuse is a pervasive pattern of behavior typically when we talk about someone who is emotionally abusive, we talk in different areas. We talk about emotional abuse, patterns of belittling, putting down, invalidating an individual, mocking them, sarcasm. It it could occur in areas of sexuality. It could occur in areas of finances, power, and control. So, emotional abuse is power and control used to diminish and control another person. So, it could come in the form of sexuality, it could come in finances, it could come in medical, it could come in spiritual abuse that I've already talked about, it could come in controlling friends, it could come in many different areas, but those are the primary areas. Challenging a mate and how they think, controlling their thinking, controlling the narrative, financial, sexual, medical, interpersonal, those kinds of things.
Okay. And how does this show up in like some of the couples that you work with, or in this?
Yeah, yeah. So this 45 to 75-year-old couple now, he has been he has been uh, silent. He's not been listening to her in all of the ways. Remember, she has been trying to have an impact. He sees her as being critical, 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 and she is. She's critical, critical, critical. But the areas that she's critical about are legitimate, Kyle. They're legitimate. When I listen to her, she says, "Look, I want him to care about what I do throughout the day." Is that legit? Totally legit. I want him to partner with me in caring for the family and the children. Is that legit? Totally legit. I want him to not mock me in the way that I spend money and to work on financial problems. Is that anyway? All of her concerns are legit. Does he see them as legit? Oh no, no, no. He says, she's just yammering at me, just yammering, yammering, yammer. And so there we have it again. What Gottman has discovered, Kyle. Gottman discovered that largely he has not accepted influence. There's that phrase again. And she now is angry and critical. And now she talking about separation? Yeah, she is. She's had it. She is fed up, and there's not very vestiges left of the relationship by the time they reach me.
Hmm. How do you know if you're a narcissist? What's a self test that you could do?
Number one question. See if I can say it. When she comes to you with a concern, are you open and receptive and influenceable? No matter what it is. When she comes to you with a concern, no matter what it is, are you open and receptive and open to influence? Are you really listening and are you responsive? How would she answer that question? So, and I ask every woman that question. Is he open and receptive when you approach him with a concern? Does he listen? Does he care? And does he respond effectively? And 100% by the time they reach me, guess what the
And
answer is? No.
100% no. Yeah.
No. So we have to begin to bring the focus back. He has got to be accepting influence, listening well again. By the way, every woman says, I've told him and told him what I need in this relationship to be healthy. 100% of the men, guess what they say to me? I don't know. I don't know what she really wants.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting with them as a couple when I'm doing this assessment, and I'm looking at her and she's going, Dear God, I can't even believe that he is saying he doesn't know. I have written him letters. I have told him. I'll tell him yet again. I meet with him 2 weeks later to do a follow up, and he says, it's not really funny. I'm laughing because it's like we're all so like, and he says again, like, I still don't get what she's really asking for. And she goes like this. I, do, do,
But that's not surprising, right? Because these guys are incapable. They've never learned this language. It's literally going back to them being 12 years old. One part of their brain is 12 years old, and they
I love
and
it. I love it. You got it. You got it. It's not surprising. And remember, he hasn't really attended to her. So, we talk about listening. So I can get a man to go like, okay, I'm listening. He's not listening. He's not actively like, wow, what is she trying to say to me?
Mm.
What is bothering her? What is really, how have I created a mess here? We're not there. We get them there. And that's where we have to get to, by the way. That's where we got to get to. What does active listening really require of us? How am I going to really validate her? How am I going to really own up? All of that stuff. And then we get that, and then we can tilt the focus, and then we get them back to having a healthier relationship.
Yeah. What you said, that a narcissist deal with shame. So that means they must not like themselves and have a level of self-hatred, even though it's coming out as selfishness and things like that. Like they must have
Totally.
a,
Totally. There's a thing, Kyle, there's a thing called healthy shame and toxic shame. Toxic shame is, I'm a bad, bad, bad human being. Healthy shame is, wow, I have failed her. I've failed her. I really have. I've failed. It's okay to use the word failed. I've not done, I've created a real mess here. And I should feel remorse. I should have a godly sorrow that leads me to wanting to change. So, healthy shame, not toxic shame, and being able to sit with that. So many men, this is a whole nother tangent, Kyle, won't go off on it, but so many men will do this. Okay, I'm sorry. I said, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Okay, can we get on with it now?
yeah,
Right?
yeah.
The, the,
Yeah,
the,
I think a good example of it is like you've put this person in an extreme car wreck and they flipped 30 times, and you go to the ER and you say, oh, I'm sorry, and now they're supposed to be healthy and walk out of there, but they're like unconscious or whatever it is.
good, great analogy. And so this man, and this happens every day in my counseling sessions. In one form or another, he will do what I just described. Look, I'm sorry. I don't know what do you expect of me? I mean, what, you brought that up so many times. I mean, when do I get out of jail free card, huh? When do I get, or how about this one? Uh, yeah, I know I've hurt you, but I'm different now, right? I'm different now. Now I mean, come on, you're right. I'm going to counseling. I'm in Dr. Hawkins's program. So like, right, I'm changing now,
Yeah,
right.
yeah, yeah,
And she goes, no. And the very fact that you're bringing this up again and reminding me of your progress tells me we haven't made the progress that we need to make.
yeah. So how do you see when you're working with these men? How do you see them in with compassion? Because that there is a level of there's a huge level of responsibility on their side, but there's also like when I see these guys, I often just feel sorry for you. I'm just like this is, you're so blind to what's going on, and so broken that you're not even aware of what to do next. And so when they
Yeah.
say like sorry, like I understand they don't get it. So when you're working with these guys, how do you encourage the women, but also your own counselors, yourself, to see these guys as worthy of love, because that's what they're ultimately craving as well. They deep down are in need of an emotional connection. One of my questions here is like motivating men to start on a journey of becoming emotionally healthy, because it's worth it. Like life is way better, when you're able
That's
to
right.
be emotionally healthy and like feel your feelings and connect and stuff like that, even though they don't believe it is, otherwise they would be pursuing it. To speak to that.
I think you just gave a great answer, Kyle. So I do bring compassion to bear, and I want them to be. We're threading a needle here. I want them to be accepting of themselves on the one side of the needle, while also challenging themselves to do better. Because these fake apologies, I can't look at them and go, way to go. That was really good, because it wasn't good. You're trying. So I want you to be compassionate with yourself. I want you to be affirming, and I will affirm you. And it's not good enough. We have to keep growing and growing and growing and growing. And you're absolutely right. It's threading a needle. It is, I don't want to just say, yeah, no, 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 Joe. I don't do that. So we meet in groups and we affirm and encourage each other, and we challenge,
Hmm.
affirm, challenge, affirm, challenge all the
And
time.
can you actually even work on the marriage right away, or do you need to work with the individual? Because
Great point. Great point. No, we can't work on the marriage right away. No, because there's a whole thing called being able to really hold space. You've heard that term before, holding space. So, holding space means, my goodness, I when I work with Joe, I have to help Joe really harness his own pain, harness his own unworthiness, his own frustration, his own anger, so that he is in a place where he has accepted some of the ways that he's causing harm, and he's got some rudimentary ability to really listen well, to validate well, to really affirm well, to hold space. And that's a skill. So, yeah, no, if I were to start with couples counseling right out of the gate, and he's angry and he's critical and accusatory and judgmental, and not going to
yeah,
work. So there's a
yeah, yeah.
basic level of skills that we've got to get to on her part and on his part, and then
Yeah.
at the right time in the right way. Great question.
How does a spouse get their husband to go to, for example, your marriage recovery center, or some other form of help that is a narcissist, or is emotionally completely absent? And is there a risk to doing that? Like, that's, you're dealing with guys that are often very capable, very smart, and they can use their talents of narcissism to really cause a lot of havoc.
Right. So this is probably the most uncomfortable topic, and the topic that you didn't use the word, but you could have, and the word is intervention.
Hmm.
So, another quick story. When I was a psychologist on an inpatient drug and alcohol unit, I saw 100 men come through the door, and women, excuse me, not just men, men and women. Out of the 100, how many do you think wanted to be there? That'd be zero. Zero. But 100 were there. How did they get there? Because they had hit some kind of significant bottom. Their mate had said, "You're going to go to alcohol treatment or drug treatment, or I'm going to leave you." That's what is going to happen. Or they already left. Or the job said, "Look." Anyway, so there's got to be a breakdown that leads to the breakthrough. What does that look like, Kyle? For a lot of men, if we talk about men, for a lot of men, it means the woman either leaving or threatening to leave. Do I like that? I don't like that. But that is what it takes. It takes, and by the way, I mean, a lot of social media would say, oh, yeah, threaten to leave a man, he'll just go find another woman. I never, ever, ever, ever see that. Why? Because, look, again, remember, there's a little boy in me, and I like being married. Most men want to stay married, they want their marriages to work. I want to use that to help be a fulcrum to get him into treatment. So, to the women that are going to be watching this video and listening, you're pivotal. You really are. So
Yeah.
you have got to learn about interventions, and you've got to learn about how to use your power effectively.
Yeah, because
It's
you're enabling if you don't do something like that, right?
exactly right. Year after year after year after year, and if not now, when? You're going to wait another year, another year, another year.
So that makes
So
sense. And in religious circles, why then it becomes even worse, because there's so much other pressure for the women not to stand up or not to have as much value, and to
totally,
be real.
Totally. And I want to capitalize on one more thing you said, Kyle. Nothing beats success like success. Or in other words, a healthy relationship. My goodness, when marriages are functioning well, I feel good, she feels good, the kids feel good, everybody feels good. It's good.
Yeah.
It's enlivening. It's inspiring. So
Yeah.
this is
Yeah.
all for a good end.
Yeah. But often I would say all those men don't even know what they don't know. So when you explain that to them, they don't even have a category of what that
Totally.
might actually be. Yeah, yeah.
Totally.
What are some of the lies that women are believing about themselves after being in a position like this for 20, 30 years? Because I can imagine you start thinking yourself that you're crazy or that you're the issue and you're the problem and stuff like that. And they have to break those patterns because that probably allows the enabling because they just think that.
There is that pattern for sure. I want to touch on the words hope and hopium. Hopium is like maybe it'll get better. Maybe it'll just get. I mean, he promised that he will. He says to me, he gets it. He says, I got it now. You don't have to keep harping. I got it. Maybe he's got it. That's a lie. Maybe everything we're doing is enough. That's a lie. Maybe things will just, maybe just, I don't know, give it a little more time. That's a lie. So that's hopium. It's addicting. It's like, okay, maybe if I just do more, do better, do that, no, 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 no. So hope is based on something realistic. So is he going to just change? No. Is he going to just get it? No. What does it require? I already said, remember that one of the three things I emphasize: pervasive emotional immaturity, pervasive thinking errors, and a lack of dedication to change. He's got to be dedicated to change. When he is dedicated to change, you will see it, feel it, know it. So we don't want hopium, we want hope, which is based on something very substantial. There really is a treatment plan, and the treatment plan works. So you, woman, if you are addicted to hopium, give up the hopium. There's got to be a real solid treatment plan, and there will be lasting changes, and you will know it, you will see it, you will feel it. And if you don't have that, you don't have a substantial, healthy, bona fide treatment plan.
Yeah. Hey guys, I just wanted to interrupt here and talk briefly about my coaching. One of the things I've observed over the last couple of years in the guys that I work with and just a demographic of guys from 25 to 45 and even older is that they're missing four big pillars of security in this life. And so the first is they don't trust the government. There used to be some sort of trust in the government, but that's gone. And so there's no more security there. They don't have much hope for the future. They think the world's going to crap, so not much hope for that. They believe 80 or 90% of what they grew up with in church is bullshit. They don't trust the church. And then fourthly, they had absentee dads. So maybe their dads were physically around, but not emotionally. And so you have no more moorings in this life. All those things are things that give you security. And so you feel very isolated. And so you're 30, 35, 40 years old, and you feel like you should have your crap together, but you don't. And so you feel shame. And then you isolate and actually withhold yourself from other people. And you're also having a really hard time figuring out what you believe because your dad never believed in you. These other things that tell you what you to believe in, the church or the government, you can't really trust either, but you don't really trust yourself because you've never been believed in, and so feel very lost. And so you don't really know what to believe in, and then it's really hard to know how to behave and how to show up. And so you feel very lost and isolated. And those are the kind of guys I work with. That was very much my own story as well. And what coaching really does is it doesn't change you in 10 weeks, but it gives you extreme awareness so you can change. So you do know what's going on and understand where the feelings of emptiness come from, where the feelings of lack of security come from, where and how that affects you in your work, how that affects you in your home. And once you deal with those things, there's just massive, massive implications for it in a positive way where you live with so much more peace and intention and know where you're going and why you're doing it. And if any of that resonates with you and you feel like that's kind of where you're at, I would love the chance to be able to work with you. I'm very good at the coaching I do. You can see that on my website, testimonials of the guys I've worked with, how effective it is, and your life will be much better for it as well. And so if that's you, please do reach out to me. You can hit me on my socials, or you can reach out to me through my email as well, kyle@furiouslycurious.co. On my website, you can just book a discovery call and see what it's all about. And yeah, we can go from there. So anyways, with that, let's head back to the show. Yeah. What are some of the tactics or strategies a spouse can implement in a narcissistic marriage besides, you say, threatening to leave them if they don't change and they're going to go do something about it. But beyond that, what are some more other practical ways or strategies they can have to stick up for themselves or to start learning, to shift things and stuff like that?
Yeah, I would say the topic of internal boundaries is really important. Internal and external boundaries. External boundaries are, I won't tolerate being mistreated. I mean, I simply won't tolerate it. I will step aside. I will not engage in argumentation. I will not engage in fruitless conversations. I won't, anyway, whatever the external boundaries are. Internal boundaries are knowing when and where and what kind of conversations I want to even have. So, in other words, you and I both know, I'm going to presume you know this, I know it. I won't engage, I guard my heart, for it's the wellspring of life, meaning I choose when, where, and with whom I will have a conversation. I'm not going to have a conversation with you where I feel devalued and and so many women, they will engage, they think, maybe I can talk him into something. Maybe I can talk him out of something. Maybe I can, I'll just argue with him and maybe he'll get it this time. Poor boundaries. So, in the meantime, while she's thinking through, what do I do? Do I stay? Do I not stay? While she's thinking all of that through, she guards her heart. Is that a long term strategy? It is not. It is not a long term. It's a short term strategy. How am I going to interact today in a way? Do I want to have this conversation with him? Do I not? And choosing very carefully with whom I talk to. So that's something she can be practicing.
Hmm. What about withholding sex?
Well, the way you said that, withholding sex. So sex is, my goodness, the most intimate encounter that we could ever have, right? So if she does not feel
Well,
intimate,
there's sex and intimacy. So that there's the act of sex and there's actual intimacy. And so my question, I guess, is that the guy's not changing and he's not making her feel safe, but he still just wants the act of sex, but even though there is no emotional connection. So is
right?
it wise for a woman to withhold that because for the purpose of saying, hey, you need to change or like things need to be different?
I mean, of course, but I don't know that I would word it that way that she should withhold sex. She's going to, because I mean, that's a very vulnerable thing to do. And if she doesn't feel cared for and safe and protected, then out of feeling unprotected, unsafe, uncared for, I'm not going to want to be I'm not going to want to have sex. So I don't know that I would say she should withhold that. I'm going to say most do because it's just so intimate. So it just
Well,
makes sense.
on religious circles, I can see how maybe they wouldn't withhold it because they feel like they
Scripture,
have to.
scripture twisting again. That scripture, by the way, there's a scripture that says, "Do not withhold except by mutual consent." Anybody who wants to check out that scripture, it says by mutual consent, meaning we've agreed. So, in other words, but by definition, it wouldn't follow that he could say, "You can't." Wait a minute. This by mutual consent. We both have to be willing to have this sexual relationship. So I'm not willing. So you can't then say, well, no, you have. No, that's not how the scripture goes.
Yeah, yeah, fair enough. What is the impact of a narcissistic father or mother on the children in the family? What impact does that have?
So if we think of narcissism as profound selfishness, then by definition, these children are going to feel unheard and unknown. They're going to be something. They're going to learn to be something or to do something, rather, and not really be valued for who they really are. Because remember, this profound selfishness, all that involves is I'm focused on me, what I want, what I think, what I need, da da da. And these children are little objects. And so time is not really spent knowing them, understanding them, valuing them. So they're going to feel that. Are they going to be thinking it at age 6, 8, 9, 12? Not necessarily, but they will grow up having this hole in their soul, so to speak. And then what happens when they're 13, 16, 18? What are they going to do? They're going to fill the hole in their soul with drugs or sex or something, something, something.
Become
So,
an addict, and it continues.
and it continues. And now we have generational problems.
Yeah. Is
Serious.
autism tied to this at all?
Ooh, I don't know that. I don't know that. What I do know is we're now discovering this 50-year-old man that I keep referencing. There are many 50-year-old men who have ADHD that's been untreated, adult ADHD, maybe some neurodivergent issues. They're on the autism spectrum disorder. So they're somewhere on the continuum. They haven't learned how to read cues and so on. Remember, this 50-year-old man has pervasive emotional immaturity. Oh, did he have some ADHD that was treated or untreated? Did he have some neurodivergent issues that were treated or untreated? There's all kinds of complications. And then, we've already talked, Kyle, about this 50-year-old man certainly has had some addiction issues. So his ability to mature and to be socialized has been hampered. I mean, we got
A lot of
lots
them.
and lots and lots of problems.
Yeah. So I can imagine, to someone listening to this, especially if you're 45 or 55 or whatever age it is, and it can feel overwhelming. Like, where do I even start? I'm a complete screw up if they are recognizing some of these things in their own life. Can you share a story of a man? Obviously, you can't share his name, that came into your program completely emotionally off, not taking responsible for anything, and now 3, 5 years later has turned into someone that's emotionally healthy and the marriage has recovered. Do you have any examples that you can share, and kind of what that process was? And in that, by answering that question, share the things that men need to do to get there, but
Yeah.
also in that, giving hope to anybody listening.
Yeah. And I mean, what we might do later, Kyle, have one of these men on, but anyway, not necessarily one of the ones I'm working with, but yeah, I'm thinking of a man right now who made the phone call 5 years ago. They
Let's
were
call him
they were
John.
separated. They were separated. He's a professional man that I'm thinking of. I have a lot of professional men, but this is a professional man. They were separated emotionally. She was fed up, completely fed up. But remember, this guy is a professional. Man, everything he has touched materially has turned to gold. Makes a lot of money. He's successful. Has a great profession. Has a lot of education. And now, 50 years old, his wife is leaving him. Has left him. So comes into my practice, comes under my care, and we have him. We have a 3-step men's program. The beginning step, men's core, it's called. He comes into men's core where he takes ownership for the ways he has been harmful. That's not fun. So he's already feeling like a huge screw up, and now we're going to highlight how he's been screwing up. But for the purpose of helping him to
It's pretty
understand.
amazing. It's pretty amazing that you can get a successful man to be willing to do that, because they're basically being told yes in every area of their life, and now they have to start taking responsibility of things.
Totally. However, remember, this man and other men, they have 3 children. I'm taking the stereotypical man. He's successful, but now his wife is leaving him. For most of us, Kyle, for most of us, we can have $5 million in the bank. And if our wife is leaving us, it doesn't mean much. It really doesn't. It doesn't
That's a
mean
good
much.
note. That's a good note for any 30-year-old listening that it's worth it to pursue this.
For sure, for sure. There's all kinds of ways that you can pile up money in the bank. But if you don't pile up goodwill in your marriage, it will dissolve. I mean, I could read you another article on detaching, Kyle, and just a quick insertion. She will leave you. That is what will happen. And I talked like that because it happens one step at a time, and you can hardly notice it, but she will detach. And as long as she's complaining, we've got men in our program who say, your wife is still complaining? You're the luckiest man on the planet. Because my wife left me and won't talk to me. You, sir, are so freaking lucky. Get down on your knees and thank God right now. Okay, anyway, so this man enters our men's core. He learns about the ways that he has been harmful. He takes ownership. He starts to apologize. He starts to learn how to make good amends, how to make good repairs. Take a note right there, Kyle, because that's another aspect of pervasive emotional immaturity. We don't know how to make repairs. I'm sorry, I did it. What do you want from me now? He learned how to make good repairs. Now he learns how to make good attachments. So he moves out of our men's core into our advanced core. 14 weeks, now 14 weeks. Oh, now she is starting to pay attention a little bit. The wife who left him, she's in counseling with one of our female therapists. And now, okay, now they're ready for a little bit of couples counseling. It is still 2 steps forward, 1 back, 2 forward, 2 back, 3 forward, 1 back, and the trajectory is positive. But boy, it's a rough go. By the way, Kyle, I would say that about every man in our program. Da, 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 da. I wish I could tell you, straight path, baby.
Not real life. Not real life.
Not real life. So the men call it stepping on a rake. How's that for a visual? So I have a man come in, says, this man stepped on a rake again. Okay, let's talk about how you stepped on the rake, what the pattern is. Oh, yeah. Okay, that's a pattern for you. I'll call him Joe. So Joe learned more and more, went into our advanced core. Now he reads a book on nonviolent communication. So now he learns how to listen better, how to attune, how to attend, how to validate, how to empathize. And yes, empathy is a skill you can develop. So now she comes back to him. Okay, now they are reconciled. Now they're growing together. I'm doing weekly couples counseling now. Now we're about 4 years later. Now it's more like 3 steps forward, 1 back, maybe even 4 forward and 1 back. Is there still the 1 back? There still is, because old patterns die hard. But I have many, many, many men who now have gone through our 3-stage men's core comprehensive core program, who are also doing couples counseling. They're probably also going to Celebrate Recovery or some other self-care group in the community, and they are dedicated. So now we've got emotional maturity developing. Now we've eliminated most of the thinking errors, and now we have a dedication to lasting change. How long is he going to have to do our programming? Forever. Forever.
Or recovery programming anyway.
Or recovery. I mean, you don't like. And so the men who drop out halfway through our comprehensive core program inevitably find their way back to me after they have stepped on a number of rakes. So anyway, so now
What
I
is your
have
success rate, or what is the success rate in men that come? How many?
It's
How many
hugely
actually?
it's hugely successful. Social media says narcissistic men can't change. That is BS. Total BS. With enough motivation, we already talked about what the motivation is. He has got to be threatened with losing something very important to him, typically his marriage. But you lose the marriage, you lose the family, I mean, your finances are impacted, your home is impacted, your marriage is impacted, your family is impacted, your health will end up being I mean, everything is impacted. And now the $2 million in the bank doesn't mean a whole lot. So anyway, enough is impacted. And now we see men who stick with it, grow, become healthier and healthier. And now we've got men who have been working with me for 3, 4, 5 years. And now they're mentoring the new men coming into the program. And it's a cool deal.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love the work you're doing because I think there's such a huge need for it. And yeah, it's a pandemic out there.
It is a pen. Kyle, if you and I can do anything to just say, look, people, bless your hearts, men, bless your hearts. But come on, what you're doing isn't working. And whether you sign up for my program or whether you get involved, there's any number of pretty good men's movements out there. There's some good stuff. I happen to think, our program focuses on what I've emphasized: emotional maturity, focuses on looking at thinking errors that keep us totally stuck. It focuses on staying dedicated to a change process and letting go of attitudes of superiority. I want to emphasize that for a moment. I haven't said that yet, Kyle. Underneath, rooted in all of this, in this wounded man, is an attitude of superiority. Believe it or not, like underneath it all, like he kind of thinks he doesn't really need to have a whole lot of work done. Sir,
Anybody that says that in the first place needs a lot of work done.
Yeah, you're really misguided, man. Look, my name's Dr. Hawkins, and I go to counseling every other week for me. Because I'm self-will still run riot, and I'm still dangerous at times.
Yeah. What are some the resources you would want to point people to of your marriage recovery center, where either the women or the men, so they can start down this path of healing if after hearing this conversation, they want to do that?
I have I have 4 books that I've written that I want you to pay attention to. When Loving Him is Hurting You. You held that one up. Then I've got there you go. And then I've got the book, So You've Been Called a Narcissist, Now What? It could have been titled, So You've Been Called a Narcissist, So What? I didn't have that title. I said, Now What? But it could be, So What? Come on, get over it. And then I wrote the book, In Sickness and in Health, for women who have physical consequences of emotional abuse in their marriage. And by the way, that's a pandemic. I'm telling you, Kyle, that's, if you want to do another podcast at some point in time, it is talking to the 50-year-old woman about what's happening to her physiologically.
Just a few examples.
Fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue, irritable bowel syndrome, sleep disturbance, appetite disturbance, other health issues, autoimmune disorders, mold intolerance, any number of those kinds of issues. And by the way, the bottom line for them is one word: exhaustion. Every woman, not 80%, Kyle, 100%, tell me, I'm exhausted. I am total. I can't. Quick story on that. I'm doing this I do a ton of marriage intensives. In the middle of one recently, the woman put her head down on her lap and started sobbing. I didn't see it coming. I typically would pick up something like that. And I said, what's going on? She said, this is all so difficult. It's all so difficult, and I'm exhausted. I can't keep trying to make an impact and being unheard. I can't do it. Anyway, In Sickness and Health. And then my most recent book that I wrote that came out literally 2 months ago, The Vulnerable Narcissist. The vulnerable narcissist is the man that we've been talking about. He looks good. He's Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Is he full of himself? Underneath he is. Does he show up like that? No, no. He's the guy sitting next to you in church or at the baseball game, whatever. No, he's a nice. You like him. He's a nice guy. But at home, not so nice. He's argumentative. He's passive aggressive. He is. Here we go again. Emotionally immature. He has all kinds of thinking errors, and he is not dedicated to change. And so he causes harm. So anyway, those are the resources that I know about. I've already referenced Lundy Bancroft's book, Why Does He Do That? And I would give a big shout out to Marshall Rosenberg's book, Nonviolent Communication. Very simply written, and it's something every man can. We could read this book, man. We really could.
Yeah.
It's got pictures in it, and
nice.
I got to stop that. I are a man. I got to quit putting men down.
Well, we got to take responsibility for our crap. I mean, we need more men that just can stand up, and it can take a joke like that too. Okay. You also have some good videos online, I would say, on your YouTube page that people can go to. Some that I enjoyed.
I want to give a shout out to me about that, Kyle. We just hit last week. We hit 100K.
Awesome! Congrats! That's awesome. I'm not there yet, so
we get it. We get a silver any day. I'm going to get one of those silver plaques in the mail, and so thank everyone who. And I really do mean that. And I know you mean it too when we say thank you to anyone that would care to watch and listen. And thank you to I want to thank everybody who is subscribing to our channel. It means the world to us. It really does.
Yeah. Well, you're helping a lot of people. That's why people are subscribing, right?
That's right.
They resonate with what you're saying. So Dr. Hawkins, thank you very much for taking the time. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure.
For anyone listening, your website is, again,
marriagerecoverycenter.com. Actually, we have 3 websites: marriagerecoverycenter.com, www.marriagerecoverycenter.com, and then we've got Dr. David Hawkins now. I'm doing more speaking, and then we have the Emotional Abuse Institute. But the 2 primarily are Dr. David B. Hawkins. Dr. David Hawkins. That'll get you there. And marriagerecoverycenter.com. We've got lots of resources. And again, thank you for what you're doing, Kyle. And thank you for all of those who listen and pay attention to what we're saying. It really does mean the world to us, doesn't it? So thank you.
Okay, guys, thanks for listening. I will catch you next time. Cheers. Thank you, sir.